Welcome to the channel. So today I'm going to take this Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory for a ride around the Black Mountain in Brecon Beacons here in Wales, and I'm going to explain why I think this is the best bike I've ever ridden. So if you're interested in that, come along, see how we get on. So here we are, glorious day. Why is this the best bike I've ever ridden? Well, before we get onto that, what other bikes have I ridden? What sort of riding do I do, so you can put it into some context? So I ride all sorts of bikes, litre sports bikes, track days, little mini bike racing, so little 150cc bikes on go-kart tracks, a little bit of green laning, a little bit of trials. So I've ridden all sorts of stuff, Ninja H2s, right down to little 200cc two-strokes. So lovely bikes, absolutely mad about it, ridden a bit of everything. Predominantly a sports bike rider, that is, my heart is in sports bikes, which probably goes on to explain why I think this is the most exciting bike I've ever ridden, or also the best bike I've ever ridden. But the first reason I say that is because that word exciting. It is exciting. It's an experience to ride it. It sounds great, we can talk a bit more about that, but I think the V4 engine is the heart of it. The V4 engine gives it bags of character, which is what we want. Inline 4 bikes can be a little bit sterile. I think if you compare this to, say, a BMW S1000 RR, brilliant bike, don't get me wrong, but I rode one and I was like, oh, I don't feel very fast, and I looked down at the speedo and I was like, oh dear, I am really flying. It's so efficient that I wasn't getting the experience of riding fast. On this thing, if you're riding fast, you know about it, because it's bucking and weaving, the engine's howling away, it's trying to wheelie everywhere, exciting. So yeah, that's probably the first thing I would say. One of the reasons, so I'm riding here along the Black Mountain in the Brecon Beacons. This is the A4069 from Llangaddock to Lumarna. And one of the reasons I'm riding this road is it's got an average 40 speed limit. And you might think that's a bit stupid. No, I don't want to get carried away when I'm trying to make this video, otherwise I might end up in all sorts of trouble. So it's going to temper things a little bit. So this one is a 2020 model, although the more recent ones are not that different. I think the electronics suite has been updated, colours are different, but the looks and I think the engine are pretty much the same. Maybe the new one's got slightly more power. Bike's real high spec as you would imagine. You've got Öhlins semi-active suspension, which I think is fantastic. I mean, semi-active suspension, so in case anybody doesn't know what I mean by that, so it's reacting to what the road's doing and how I'm riding, and it's changing the damping settings as I ride. On the road, absolutely brilliant. I think it's fantastic. It's on the firm side, but I think that's really cool. It's got Brembo brakes, as you would imagine. They are absolutely fantastic, and with this sort of performance, you do need the brakes. So it comes with a high level of equipment. The finish is absolutely fantastic. Can't knock Aprilia's finish, I don't think. Desperately trying hard here to keep the speed down. Criminal, really. It was the car drivers driving along. This is also referred to as the Top Gear road, because Top Gear uses roads for a lot of filming, and there was loads of clowns in cars going over the edges and stuff, and that brought in the 40 limit, so it wasn't the bikers. That's my understanding anyway. It's still a lovely road to ride, especially on a day like this. So the bike's exciting to ride. It's exciting to ride. You have to have your wits about you. It tries to wheelie everywhere. I was on the way down on an A road, and fifth gear, 6,000 revs, just come over the crest of a hill, just open the throttles and go over the crest of the hill, and the front wheel just started lifting. So yeah, you have to have your wits about it. This is not a bike for the inexperienced rider. No two ways about that, okay? It's got the electronics and all that, but this is not a bike for the inexperienced. So it's exciting. I said earlier that I'm predominantly I come from a sports bike riding background. Unfortunately, as the years wear on, sports bikes become more and more uncomfortable. I really suffer with my wrists. That's the worst thing. Wrists and back, I suppose. This, I mean, it's essentially an Aprilia RS V4 with flat bars, but it is comfortable. The seat is mega comfortable, really plush. The flat bars just raise you just enough to take the weight off your wrist, but it still rides, and in my opinion looks like a super bike. So you're getting all the bonuses and the pluses and the excitement of riding a sports bike without any of the discomfort. You may have seen one of our other videos where we went touring to Snowdonia, so I went touring on this. It was perfect, absolutely brilliant. So I don't know if I've mentioned the sound yet, but it sounds absolutely incredible. This thing sounds like a Spitfire. So the sound is, I'm struggling to put it into words. It's not loud, offensive, it is just awesome. Hard to beat, I think, the sound of a V4. So, in the interest of fairness, what are the negatives? Because all bikes have a negative. All bikes have a negative. So, the interface is pretty poor, I think, so trying to change electronics and all that good stuff. The interface is not so great. It's quite hard to ride low down. The fueling is not brilliant low down, and in Wales now we have these fantastic 20-mile-an-hour limits. Nightmare to ride at 20 mile an hour. It's a nightmare to ride at 30 mile an hour. It's kind of bucking and weaving, and it's it's really not very happy. So that's not so good. It drinks fuel. Not particularly worried about that, but it's a sports bike. But it does, certainly compared to an inline four-cylinder sports bike, it does drink fuel. Definitely. That, I think, is pretty much it for the negatives. The dealer backup is better than it was. So a lot of people complain about that. I think it depends where you live. We've got near us, Completely Motorbikes, Thunder Road, who they serviced it last time for me, and absolutely superb job. So yeah, I think it just depends where you are. There isn't a huge amount of dealers, I guess. The handle of this bike is incredible, razor sharp. Tips into the corners. Yeah, I mentioned earlier about the electronic suspension. The handle is absolutely fantastic. I haven't taken it on a track day. I would like to. Might have a bit of trouble getting the certainly with this exhaust on it through the noise test for a track day. But I think it would be really interesting. My gut feeling is actually all the reasons that make this exciting on the road would make it scary as a track bike. So all the things that you don't want on a track bike, i.e. it being a handful, it being aggressive, the power being like a smack round the back of the head with a baseball bat. They're all the things you don't want on a track bike. You want it to be smooth, and so actually the experience might be completely different to riding it on the road. And it might be, when I was making the comparisons earlier with the BMW, it might be role reversal. On the track you want the BMW because of its smoothness and how compliant it is. Yeah, I must do see if I can do a track day of this, and then we'll know. So I'm leaving the Black Mountain now. The mist has actually rolled in just the other side. You can really see it rolling in. Not sure if it's got any rain with it. There's nothing in the forecast, but there we go. That's Wales for you. You never quite know what's going to happen. So we're heading back down the Black Mountain now. Still 40 miles an hour, unfortunately. Or fortunately, as the case may be. I haven't really talked about the performance of this bike. The performance is absolutely incredible. I mean, it is so fast. It's almost too fast for my brain to compute what's happening, if that makes sense. It is very fast. But also, as you can see, you can ride it at 40 miles an hour. It can be docile. But it is a very quick bike, and the power can catch you out. It's got all the electronics. They're not the latest sort of 2024 spec electronics, but they are pretty good. Although saying that, on the way up, hit a little bit of loose gravel and the rear stepped out. Didn't get any traction control lights coming on or anything, but I've probably got the traction control turned right down, so it's not interfering too much. One other thing that's worthy of a mention is the flipper and the quick shifter. Absolutely fantastic. So smooth. Yeah, they don't work low in the revs, but then I think that's standard on most bikes. But when you're on the go, really smooth. Sound of it on the downshift as well with the flipper, it's amazing. It properly sounds like a Spitfire. The punch is incredible. I know looks really don't come into why I think this is one of the best bikes I've ever ridden, but they are really important. You know, you want to have that, and when you look at the bike, you want to feel that excitement, and I think this looks fantastic. I know everyone's got personal opinions. I think of all the super nakeds, this one looks the part. It looks most like the MotoGP bike, which for me is good. Maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but I really like it. I think they've really nailed the looks. The later ones with some wings and all that probably look even more like the MotoGP bike, but the looks haven't changed a huge amount. I particularly like this matte black colour scheme I did on the 2020. Again, everyone has a different taste, I know. Let me know what you think. If you think this bike's awful, or you think the colour scheme's awful and all that, I'm really interested to hear. I mentioned the sound again, why not? So this has got the factory fitted Aprilia exhaust, and that comes with a race map as well. It's running without the baffle at the moment, and I think it sounds incredible. I think it sounds like a Spitfire. It doesn't drone away, it just sounds nice. Earlier, you have to be careful about any crests because the front wheel will just lift slides them out. Well, I left home with glorious blue skies. Thought I was going to be making a fantastic YouTube video in blue sky and sunshine, and now looking around, I'm kind of hopeful I'm going to get home before it rains. Anyway, I think it's clear I absolutely love this bike. I think if you come from a sports bike background and you just want that little bit of extra comfort, but you still want the excitement of a sports bike, I think this is perfect. I think the V4 engine is just absolutely magnificent. It's an absolute peach. Exciting is the word that sums this bike up for me. But I'd be interested to know what you think. If you think I'm talking rubbish, please tell me. Always interested to see what other people think. Please subscribe to our channel, that helps us hugely. Ride safe, and we'll see you on the next one.